Welcome back. Let's head to South Africa, where Tuesday's minor rand depreciation may not have a negative impact on local trade. The South African rand, on the other hand, reached its lowest point in 2 weeks as the Johannesburg Stock Exchange concluded the day on a firmer tone. Meanwhile, petrol prices have increased by 1 rand 71 per litre, with the price of diesel rising between 2 rands 76 and 2 rands 84. In its second quarter report, Stats SA says the economy grew by 0.6% in the second quarter of the year. Manufacturing and finance were the largest positive contributors to the improved GDP figures. Well, joining us to discuss this situation and developments with the South African markets and the economies, Professor Bonke Dumisa, Hayes, an independent analyst based in Durban, South Africa. Professor, good evening and thank you for your time.
Good evening, even though your signal is not so clear, but I think I can hear you.
Thank you very much. I apologize for that. Let's kick our conversation off with the markets. What's your take and assessment of how the markets in South Africa performed ahead of the second quarter GDP figures?
Unfortunately, the second quarter results, which are positive, but really marginally positive at 0.6%, did not inspire much positivity in the markets. So the rand had opened very weak this morning, moving from 18 rand 76 yesterday to over 19 rands 15 to the dollar this morning. The same with the pound and the euro. So I thought maybe after the figures were released, it was going to be better, but not really, because unfortunately South Africa has just moved into stage 6 load shedding, which is currently the highest, and it has been said that it's here until further notice. And as you've already mentioned, the petrol price went up by 1 rand 71 per liter, and the diesel prices went up by 2 rands 80 or 2 rands 84 per liter. And the fuel prices are the ones which really fuel a lot of inflation in South Africa. So if ever the prices increase this much, which is really the highest in a long time, it means they will influence the inflation rate for the month of August. No, for the month of September. Fortunately for us, at least for now, if we don't take into consideration other things, that may not be so much, because the Reserve Bank is going to be meeting in about 2 weeks' time from today, on the 21st of September, to announce their next repo rate increase or decrease. And from the look of things, even though this is going to be the increase in the petrol price and the diesel prices will push up the inflation rate, but it can only do it for the September figures, which will only come out in October. So it is highly possible then that despite all these disappointing economic news, we can still avoid having another repo rate hike on the 21st of September.
Thank you, Professor. We've talked a lot of macroeconomics here, but let's look at the impact on the South Africans on the ground as these dynamics continue to play, out. The rand continues to depreciate, as we earlier said, while on the other hand, like you've just said, petrol and diesel prices are also spiking. So how is this affecting consumers in South Africa in real time on the ground?
Can you say that again? As I said, I was battling to hear you.
Yes. Give us a sense of what the consumers in South Africa are going through with all these dynamics playing out, the price of petrol and diesel spiking, the rand depreciating. Let's look at the impact in the real time on the consumers today in South Africa.
And everything is not everything which is negative. The South African economy remains resilient. However, there are all these negative things which are part of the reason why when we look at our growth figures for the second quarter, you find that the household total final consumption is actually down when you compare it to the first quarter, which is bad because the South African economy is one of those economies which are consumer driven. So if ever the consumers buy less of everything, it means the business is going to go down. And if the business goes down, everything then the economy suffers. That's the state we find ourselves in.
Professor, before we go, just give us an idea, in your opinion. Well, according to the latest second quarter statistics, the South African economy is showing some growth. How significant is this growth, and how much impact can the growth that it's showing in the second quarter have? What impact can it have?
This is the hardest interview I've had on News Central. There is a signal problem. So I did not hear the last question at
Sorry
all.
about that, Prof. I will go again. Sincere apologies. But according to the latest second quarter statistics on the South African economy, it's showing some growth. And we want to know how significant this growth that we're talking about is, and what kind of impact will it have on the economy?
The growth in the South African economy in the second quarter, you must remember, we are not comparing with the previous year. We are comparing with the previous quarter. The growth, as we say, it was 0.6%, has been mainly from almost everything that has not been doing. I mean, mining, manufacturing, everything except the areas where it should count the most, where it involves the consumers buying. So, which means the consumers are not really sure about, I mean, food and non-alcoholic beverages have really gone down significantly, and that is one area which is under most circumstances which leads to higher retail sales. So if ever figures look like this, then it means we need to do more to push up the economy in order to empower the consumers again so that they can go back to the stores to buy in order to increase our economic growth.
Very interesting indeed. Professor, thank you very much for your time. Professor Bonke Dumisa, independent analyst, joining us live from Durban, South Africa.